and every single person who came out today to show that we, as a community, have come together in pride and solidarity, and that the time for Ireland to listen to what we have to say. More than half of the disabled community in Ireland report difficulty in leaving the house due to the shameful lack of accessible transport. So I really mean it when I say I value the effort that it took for many of us to get here today, and hope that next year disabled people in this country can gather and travel more freely. As I speak to you today, I can't help but feel inspired. Now, I know that word has a complicated history with our community, but I am inspired by our community, the largest marginalised community in society, taking this step in our fight for our civil rights, and by the possibility for real and meaningful change this opens up when we work together. For too long, we have been silenced by shame, poverty and exclusion, but it is becoming impossible to ignore the power, passion and vision of our disabled community, who will no longer accept second-class citizenship, pushed to the margins and kept reliant on charity. As we come together to fight for equality, we have an obligation to make sure that we do better than those who left us behind when it was their turn to fight. We must be a community that fights for all its members. A real community doesn't allow itself to be divided along lines of ethnicity, gender or class. The community doesn't accept lower standards for some of its members, doesn't stay silent when laws are passed that limit the rights of its non-speaking members, its members with intellectual disabilities, its MAD members or anyone else. We are a community that understands that none of us are equal until all of us are equal. Not too long ago, Ireland was found to be the worst country in the EU which where disabled people live. We have the lowest rate of employment and one of the highest rates of poverty and social exclusion for any country in Europe. Poverty restricts our choices. Poverty undermines our dignity, and it has long been a cause of our experiencing institutionalisation. The lack of in-community support, such as personal assistance, and the state's over-reliance on charitable provision continues our country's dark history of disempowering and institutionalising the people it views as difficult and disposable. Disabled Women Ireland was founded because, as disabled women and other gender marginalised people, we experience additional inequality and oppression. Our chances of employment are even lower, and our experience of poverty even more severe. If we do find work, the gender pay gap between disabled men and disabled women is even wider than between that of non-disabled women and men. Nearly 4 in 5 disabled women have been subjected to gender-based violence. In fact, about 1 in 3 of all survivors of sexual violence are disabled, yet the vast majority of the shelters and support for victims remain inaccessible. In the recent cross-European survey, the disabled community was found to face the greatest risk of health crime of any social group, but only one national newspaper in Europe reports this, because this is what is expected for us. When the abuse we face is spoken of at all, it's to say that we are vulnerable and to try to restrict our rights even further. Blame is laid on our disabled bodies and minds, not on the systems that make us vulnerable, not on the stigma we face, and not on those who abuse us. I raised these statistics at a national summit on gender-based violence and was told that disabled women just need to wait. There are more urgent, less niche issues to address first. But disabled people and disabled women are being abused in Ireland every single day. Disabled people can't wait.
Disabled people can't wait! Disabled people can't wait! Disabled people can't wait!
The shambolic mother and baby homes report once again brought to common attention the inherent abusiveness of institutionalisation. In order to reckon with and move on from this shameful history, we must also abolish all modern institutions, including long-term residential homes, autism centres, psychiatric care facilities, direct provision centres and homeless hubs. Even private homes can become institutionalised settings when no real options for independent living exist. Disabled people, including older people and those with high support needs, deserve to have choice in where and with whom they live. I won't deny that some things have improved since Ireland ratified the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities in 2018. I recognise and I value the work of the legislators and civil society allies who have heard us and worked alongside us to drag Ireland's attitudes with disabled citizens out of the Victorian era, to start to face our dark history of neglect, shame and institutionalisation, and to take the first steps towards a more equal society. But to the rest, I ask you, how much longer do you think disabled people should wait for the dignity and equality that is our birthright? With approximately 1 in 4 women in Ireland disabled, and this number set to grow as we continue to play chicken with COVID, we need all of us working together to dismantle the barriers we as a society have created. The fundamental civil rights spoken about in our Parliament still come with an intangible except for, which is all too concrete for those of us it affects. Every day, the rights of disabled people continue to be trampled on, undermined and ignored. There are disabled people in Ireland who are not legally free to marry the person they love. Disabled people in their thousands are sentenced to lifetimes locked away in institutions, having committed no crime and with no right to a jury of their peers. Women in our community still face forced sterilisation and state removal of our children merely because of our identity. Many of us are denied education and legal autonomy, locked out of jobs, voting booths and public spaces. We face an ongoing epidemic of violence, exploitation and abuse. We can no longer pretend that the reasons for this entrenched inequality are located in individual disabled bodies. We must instead recognise they are a result of choices made to build societies which don't accommodate all equally. We are expected to accept a slow improvement from stark dehumanisation to a separate but equal approach over the next decades. We reject this. We reject all half measures. Disabled people can't wait, and disabled people won't wait.